Hey howdy hey, how is everybody doing, and welcome back to Disney Daily. I have an incredible theory for you all today, but sit tight until the end for the massive connection between these two movies that now makes even more sense after the addition of Toy Story 4. Pixar is truly gifted in the art of storytelling. Each movie seems to not only captivate audiences, but keeps us wanting more. But perhaps what they are arguably the best at is foreshadowing. I think Pixar may have hinted at not only a new possible movie, but a secret connection. You see, for those who may not know, Pixar is the mastermind of alluding to their new upcoming movies in the movie that is currently already released. The creators have left Easter eggs that are so incredibly subtle that oftentimes most go undetected, especially when watching a movie for the first time through. Some examples include Mr. Incredible in Finding Nemo, Doug's shadow in Ratatouille, and Lotso in Up. Now, according to the Pixar theory, which I will be using to help guide my own theory today, indicates that all the Pixar movies are connected and exist on a giant timeline. But what is really important about this is some of the movies overlap each other. For instance, Finding Nemo is occurring at the same time essentially as Ratatouille. It is possible, given the Pixar theory logic, that Remy could very well know or run into Dory or Marlin. Now granted, they live in completely different countries and also live in completely different habitats, but they are existing at the same time whether they know it or not. So keep that in mind as we go forward. Another key piece of the Pixar theory that I must address before going forward is the fact that Monsters, Inc. takes place last on the timeline. The date I see most often listed is 5201, so you are probably wondering if Boo existed in the year 5201 and Bonnie existed in the early 2000s, how could they possibly know each other or even be living at the same time? Well, here's how. According to this theory's logic, the human world and the monster world are separate. The monsters are able to travel back in time using the doors in order to scare children and collect their screams for energy. This means that Boo doesn't necessarily exist in the year 5201 with the monsters. Since the monsters are time traveling, she could be from any point in time throughout history. This leads me to my theory that Boo and Bonnie know each other and in fact live in the same time frame as one another. I got this idea from a scene in the Toy Story 4 movie. The scene I'm referring to is at the fair where we can see what looks to be a little girl playing a game who looks exactly like Boo. Now, she is so subtly placed that I even missed her the first few times I watched it, but we can see that she is not only wearing a pink top, but her signature pigtails. Now, while some may be skeptical, I nonetheless believe it is Boo. Now, you may be thinking, well, she looks so different, and to that I say, yeah, she does. However, there could be a couple of easy explanations for that. First and foremost, it is reasonable to assume that a short amount of time has passed and we are seeing a slightly older Boo. I mean, naturally, kids get older, and so we can perhaps safely say this is Boo, but an older Boo. Additionally, animation style and technologies have come a long way. Each character really changes over time. For example, look at Woody in the first movie as compared to the fourth, or even Bo Peep from the first movie to the fourth. There are so many differences and changes made to the way they look. Also keep in mind, when Monsters, Inc. was made, which was in the early 2000s, animation was not as far along and technology was still very limited. It was so limited that they had to actually invent their own program to specifically capture the movement for Sully's hair. Now, I have shown how Boo appears in Toy Story, so that could very well mean that Boo knows Bonnie, but what else is there? Well, I have one last clue that I find the most convincing and the most promising to establish that there is a connection between the two girls and the two movies. At the end of Monsters, Inc., when Sully is bringing Boo back home, she eagerly runs into her room grabbing some toys to show Sully. One of the toys she grabs is a Jessie doll, and who do we know that owns Jessie? Here is where I insert my theory. My theory is that Boo and Bonnie's parents are good friends, perhaps even live in the same neighborhood. The families frequently get together and arrange playdates for their daughters. Now, it is important to note at this time, Boo is about age 2 to 2.5, and Bonnie would have to be at least 4, because that is the age in which she receives Jessie from Andy. Now, due to the slight age gap, the playdates between Bonnie and Boo often result in Bonnie having to look out after Boo and keep an eye on her. Nonetheless, she loves getting to play with the little rugrat. I think it's reasonable to assume that one day after they were done playing and it was time for Bonnie to go home, Bonnie recognizes how much Boo loves playing with her Jessie doll. So she lets Boo borrow it for a while because she knows they will see each other again and she will eventually get Jessie back. Now, I know this is super out there, but you kind of have to be when there's very little information to go off of. In my opinion, the two girls have always been connected and it was right under our noses. I think Pixar has been setting setting us up for a while with all these Easter eggs in its movies to establish that there is some sort of really big connection. Even if not all of the movies are connected, I think there is a definite sign that Monsters, Inc. and Toy Story could possibly be going on at the same time, and not only that, maybe this hints at a possible new Monsters, Inc. movie. But anyways, with every theory, I'm going to leave it in your guys' hands. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Do you think this Boo lookalike is by accident or was it intended? Also, do you think this Boo Easter egg hints at a possible Monsters, Inc. continuation story, one in which we see a grown-up Boo reunited with Mike and Sully? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, thanks for being my guest here at Disney Daily. Until next time.